Today we have our very next What's Next video. This is actually our last one. It is the AFC West. We've already done every other division by now. So if you missed your division, the East, the West, the South, the North, any of them, go back and check them out now. They are all on my channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe. We are almost to 1,000 subs, and I will be giving away a jersey as soon as we get there. Also, make sure you check out w.gg to get your energy drinks today. They have all kinds of flavors, all kinds of merch. Check them out. They at w.gg and use code SHREDDER for 10% off whatever you order. So here we are with the AFC West. Let's dive right into this video. Starting off, we have the LA Chargers. They went 5-12 this year, and what went wrong for them? Justin Herbert got hurt, and before that, Brandon Staley. That's what's been wrong with them for 3-4 years now. Brandon Staley. He's just not a good head coach. I mean, I don't even know why they kept him this long. Like, I just don't know. It's a rough situation, but it has a very good outline because we'll go ahead and go on. Jim Harbaugh. He's now in the building, a really good head coach. When he was in the NFL previously, he had a really good record. I believe it was like, this is not exact, but it's like 46-19 or something like that as an NFL coach. That's roughly there. Either way, this guy, I mean, if you had to hire anybody, he's the guy to hire. Not to mention Greg Roman, a pretty proven offensive coordinator, had a really good run game in Baltimore. And then Jesse Minter, he comes over, I believe, from Michigan as well, to be their defensive coordinator. This is about as good of a unit as you can start with. Let's just be real. I mean, to bring in a whole new regime and they all have this kind of like, you've got this collective group of just solid guys. Like you shouldn't be worried about this at all. Going to the roster though is where we get some issues. So obviously Justin Herbert, great start. I mean, if you have to have a quarterback to start with, he's in the top 4 or 5 guys short list of who you want to start your team with. Tons of talent, everything you could want in a quarterback, the prototypical guy of just everything. Then you have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, good receivers, but they're never, ever, ever healthy. Like, big issues there. You have Austin Eckler, who has been a really good running back for some time now. However, this year was not good. Just wasn't at all, was not him. And right after he was begging for a big old contract, I mean, Austin, you're the guy, you're the reason why running backs shouldn't get paid. Melvin Gordon was a high pedigree guy who was a really good back for 3-4 years. And then you come in here as an undrafted guy and dethrone him and do better than him and take his spot. You are the reason why running back shouldn't get paid, yet you're asking to get paid. And now you've proven yourself to why you shouldn't get paid. It just is what it is. Running backs, you can't do that. Quentin Johnston, they took him in the first round last year. And, a lot of people have hated on him so far. I kind of liked him coming out of the draft. It's a guy who's going to need some work, and I think he's in a good spot for that. I think it was dumb of them to take him when they have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, especially Mike Williams, who are essentially the same guy. They're really the same player. But you give him some time and have Herbert throw him the ball for a whole season, and I think we'll be in a better spot. Let him understand the NFL, get a grip on it a little bit. He's a project piece. Will he turn out? I don't know, but I think he can under Harbaugh and Herbert for sure. Isaiah Spiller was another guy they got. I have some upside on him. I mean, I think he will be very good. It's just we got to see it. And then the center, Corey Linsley, big deal there. One of the best centers in the league when he's healthy, but that's the issue. When he's healthy, and he isn't. Will Clapp came in. He did pretty good, but, there's just... Yeah, I can't even say his name anymore. Moving on, we'll go to the defensive unit. And this defense is, there are things to work with here. Joey Bosa to start with. One of the better edge rushers in the league, no doubt about it. Then you have Khalil Mack opposite of him, had a very, very good season and was not even talked about. Granted, it was a few splash games, and other than that, he was pretty, standard, average, good, not great, whatever. But he's still a good player nonetheless. Former Defensive Player of the Year, pedigree, all that kind of stuff. They bring in Tuli Tuipulotu, and played really well when he got his chances. I think that guy, you lose Khalil Mack, you lose Joey Bosa, one or the other, doesn't matter. You'll be fine. This guy will come in and take the next step, and he'll just be just as good. That front the front three, not the prettiest sight. The best player there is probably Austin Johnson, and that's just not really a lot to work with. But that's where we are. Derwin James, obviously a very good safety. Asante Samuel Jr., a good corner. But that's really it on this defense. I mean, a lot of the backups, Alohi Gilman had a very good year, but just the pedigree's not there. Michael Davis is a solid player sometimes, but like Asang Bassey, Dean Leonard, like it's just not Dean Leonard. I don't know what I just said. Either way, it's just not all the way there. Then you go into your draft capital. You've got all you need there. Free agents, though, quite a lot of guys. Are you going to bring them back? Probably not. But you have no money anyways. However, like I've said before, the salary cap hardly exists anymore. You can work around it so easily in today's NFL. But here's what they got to do to me. First off, you have to go get in the first round of the draft. You can go a lot of directions, to be honest. This team has so many holes, but also they're specific holes that you can go different ways. To me, it's either cornerback, offensive tackle, or wide receiver. To me, wide receiver can kind of be ruled out because at the moment, you do have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Quentin Johnston and, Jalen Guyton, Joshua Palmer, all those guys. That looks like a good group. However, Williams can't stay healthy. Allen is on and off if he's healthy or not. Both those guys could be gone within a year or two. Quentin Johnston hasn't proven anything. Guyton and Palmer are backups. You might need that. However, I think you can wait till a later round. So first round, CB or offensive tackle is where you go. And it just depends on who's there. You're at pick 5. This, to me, if you're not going to take a Joe Alt or an Olufashanu, trade back. This is a great spot to trade back. Teams like Denver and the Raiders might be willing to jump up and grab a quarterback. And, maybe you don't want to trade to them because they're in your division and you don't want to give them their quarterback. But at the same time, get that value for yourself. Round 2, either D-line or a wide receiver if they don't get one in round 1. And then the mid-rounds, just kind of fill out the roster and those other holes you have. The free agents, I think Will Clapp was a very good center to guard when he played. And, if Corey Linsley's really going to have the health issues that he continues to have, he might be worth bringing back. Jalen Guyton, Michael Davis, both are guys that you don't want to break the bank for, but if they take good deals, you might bring them back. And Alohi Gilman played very well. So, keeping him around would not be a bad idea. However, will you do it? I don't know. Going forward, how can they improve now? One, just Harbaugh. That's Jim Harbaugh is a very good coach, and we've seen that multiple times. Just let him do his thing. Give him some time, though. Salary cap relief, they've got to figure that out, as every team does, but at the same time, I don't think that will be a problem. And then find some real defense. They haven't had a real defense under defensive coaches in years. It's embarrassing, to be honest with you. Staley was a defensive coach, and he never had a good unit. That's how you know you're not a good head coach. To me, realistic additions, that pick 5, if they want to go there, Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers, Cooper DeJean, if he does rise through this combine process, which I think he very well could. Joe Alt, Olufashanu, Malik Neighbors, all are options. You trade back, 5, 6 spots, you still might be able to nab a Neighbors, a Bowers, DeJean. I put Malik Neighbors there twice, so that's probably supposed to be Roma Dunze. But there's options here. You can trade back and still get a lot of value. Chris Jones, DJ Reader, Adoree Jackson would all be guys that'd be interesting if they brought in. However, it'd be hard to bring in Chris Jones. It would be interesting. He's playing, in the Chargers, same division. LA, under Harbaugh, might be a good thing for him. Going forward, though, what does Los Angeles do next year? To me, this is kind of a good route to go. Get Joe Alt. Round 1, pick whatever you need to do. DJ Reader, as a free agent, has very solid defensive tackle to give you just a guy with some pedigree up front. And then Jatavian Sanders. You're going to lose Gerald Everett more than likely, and he's not really worth re-signing. But Jatavian Sanders could be a young beast in the second round that could really help Justin Herbert for the future. Going forward to the Denver Broncos, they finished 8-9, and they benched Russell Wilson in the middle of their playoff chase. I think Sean Payton is a good coach, but I just don't know what to think about that. That's just weird. You started off terrible defensively, and then you kind of made Russ have to play hero ball the whole season, which, yeah, he does too much, but at the same time, you kind of put him in a spot where he had to. And then you bench him whenever you can make the playoffs. And I just don't understand. Yeah, okay, I get it. The injury stuff. You don't have to tell me in the comments about it's the injury stuff. They don't want to pay him. I understand that. However, you should be trying to win when you have 8 wins already, 7 wins already. I mean, you at least can make the playoffs and make yourself look like something that teams might want to go to. Instead, you pull your starting quarterback who, was really your only chance of winning, and now people are going to look at you like, oh, am I just going to get benched randomly? Either way, really odd start. Sean Payton, like I said, good coach. Joe Lombardi, Vance Joseph, good coordinators. We're good there. It's just what it is. Going off of that, let's hit the roster. Jarrett Stidham is QB1, and for whatever reason he is. Yeah, that's cool. We're just going to pass the QB room because there's too much going on there. And also not enough at the same time. Javonte Williams, he's a good back, but we just didn't see it from him this year. I don't know why or what, but we just, health may be a big issue. We just have to see it happen for real. Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy are both guys that have been on the trade block for years at this point, and they have been traded. So, I mean, we're just waiting for it at this point. And Marvin Mims had a solid rookie year. Expect to see more from him in the next coming years. Greg Dulcich, a really solid tight end. I mean, I think he'll be fine. He's not a star. He's not a superstar, but, you know, not everybody can be. He's going to be a good player in the NFL. And then the O-line isn't actually that bad. I mean, you know, people want to talk about how it's so bad, and yeah, they had some issues, but, like, this is one of the better Denver lines in years. I mean, Garrett Bowles, McGlinchey, both solid players. Cushenberry, a solid player. Quinn Miners had a really good year. Yeah, they're not superstars. You don't have your Trent Williams. You don't have your Quentin Nelson, but you're not going to have those all the time. This is a solid unit one way or another. Going to the defensive side of the ball, though, you know, there are some things to work with here, but just the front seven's pretty bare. Zach Allen was probably your best down lineman, which is not really the best sign. Alex Singleton, Josie Jewell is a really solid linebacker pair, but they also brought Drew Sanders in the draft last year. I think they moved him up and let Josie Jewell walk as he's a free agent. But the secondary, it's confusing because you have Pat Surtain, who had a very good year last year. This year, it was okay. It was pretty good. Not amazing, but pretty good. I mean, he's still one of the top 3 to 5 corners in the league for sure. Justin Simmons seemed to take a step back. Was it part of the, scheme? Was it part of just the struggles from the corners? I don't know, but he just seemed to take a step back for sure. And Caden Stearns did as well. Had a really good year in 2022 in his second year, but this year just didn't really show up to play. I don't know if he was hurt or what was going on there, but at the same time, he wasn't there, the guy he was last year. Either way, that's really the defensive unit. There's not much to go over there. Now we'll move on to what they got this offseason. They don't have a second-round pick. They don't have a 7th-round pick. That's fine. You also don't have a lot of money. You also don't have a ton of free agents. So things can work out here. You cut Russ, you're going to eat some money. You're going to save some money. The cap is flexible, like I said. It's almost irrelevant to even include it here. But the good thing is, out of your free agents, you have one guy who's maybe a legitimate concern to bring back, and that is Lloyd Cushenberry. However, he's not been good enough to warrant $10 to $12 million. He's probably been good enough to warrant 6 to 8, maybe at best. And so you probably have a good shot of bringing him back. If you do let Russ walk, though, you have a big issue at QB, and you pick 12th in the draft. To me, that means, that you have to go them round one. One way or another, it's got to be them. One of the quarterbacks, whether it's Jaden Daniels falling or you trading up to get Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy getting him somehow, Bo Nix if you like him enough at 12, or you trade back a little bit. It just depends on how that room shakes out. We're so far away from the draft. Things will change and in a lot of ways. To me, Fabian Moreau could be a guy you look to bring back if you have the money and he's not going to take a big deal. But really, Lloyd Cushenberry here is the only guy of the actual really meaningful value. So, what can they do to improve now? They have to figure out the quarterback spot. Sean Payton is a quarterback whisperer. He can figure it out. It's just, how long is that going to take? Is it going to take 2 years? Is it going to take a year and a half? Is it going to take a half a year? Whether or not, you got to figure it out because you have Patrick Mahomes in division, and that's not going to be a great sign. They need a reliable defense. Vance Joseph recovered well, but started poorly. That can't happen again. That's just not okay. And for weapons' sake, Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton have been on the trade block for years. I don't know what to tell you. They probably, one of them should be traded. They're not, neither of them is a wide receiver 1. You can argue that they're wide receiver 2s, but probably not even top tier wide receiver 2s. It's Courtland Sutton had a really good year, and I liked what I saw from him to label him as a wide receiver 2 and maybe a decent one at that, but just he's not a receiver 1, and that's an issue. Realistically, they could go grab any of those quarterbacks there. I don't think any of the other guys will really be available or, in the first round. Michael Penix probably falls out of the first round, and, maybe you grab him in the second round. You trade back and get a second-round pick and grab him there, but I just don't see how that's that valuable. Go get one of these guys that has a higher pedigree. Then in round 3, these guys could all be available. Tez Walker, maybe not, but Malik Washington, Roman Wilson, more than likely. That could be an interesting ad. Going to get J.J. McCarthy and Roman Wilson to pair them up to, be a duo that is familiar with each other. Help your quarterback out by giving him some familiarity. That could definitely work. Free agent-wise, if you can work the money out, Kendall Fuller, Josh Allen from the Jaguars, Danielle Hunter, those could be legitimate free agents. You need an edge. You need a legitimate edge rusher here. You haven't had one since Von Miller left because Bradley Chubb didn't really live up to it. I mean, go figure something out, man. Josh Allen, Danielle Hunter, they might be getting out of their teams anyways. Go grab one of them. So, next year for Denver. To me, J.J. McCarthy, Roman Wilson would be a great pickup for them. Then Josh Allen, if you could swing a free agent deal like that, that really makes your team look a whole lot better in the very near future. Moving on to the Raiders. They brought in Antonio Pierce to be their head coach, and that was a perfect move. They blew it with Rich Bisaccia last time. Do this. He deserves it. He has a chance. They finished 5-4 with him. Yeah, not the best record. Aiden O'Connell was the quarterback. I mean, that's one of their issues. Josh McDaniels is an issue. They don't have the most talent overall. There's things to fix here, and it's going to take a little bit. However, I don't think they're on a bad spot. Antonio Pierce, obviously, is the head coach. Luke Getsy, they bring him over from Chicago. And Patrick Graham is their DC. Now, checking out the roster, like I said, not the best unit. O'Connell, that replacement, one way or another. Josh Jacobs, free agent. Devontae Adams, old, probably going to end up being traded. Oh, they said he's not going to get traded. That is said all the time, and then guess what? Players get traded. Jacoby Myers, yeah, he had a good year, but he's just not a super high pedigree guy. Trey Tucker, I like what I saw from him. He's a depth piece. Colton Miller is one of the better tackles in the league. My favorite guy is the one right there next to Jordan Meredith, who doesn't have a name. But also Thayer Munford, a guy I wanted to highlight because he did have a very solid year when he was forced to play for some injury reasons. Moving on to the defense, though. You got more things working here, in my opinion. Obviously, Max Crosby. Yeah, that's good. Then you bring in Tyree Wilson in the first round of last year's draft, and I think he'll be a solid player. He's a project piece. Working with Max Crosby will be a very good leg up for him. He can learn a lot from Max, being, a pro, being a vet, and also in football. I mean, there's a lot of things that Max Crosby can teach this kid, and it will help him in many ways. Robert Spillane is, a guy who the Steelers let go, and he turned into one of the better middle linebackers in the league last year somehow. He does all of the things that you need a middle linebacker to do and does them pretty well. Nothing great, everything well. What can you say? There's not the best anything on him, but he's just solid one way or another. Then in the secondary, Nate Hobbs is a very solid corner. I'd put him as a top-tier cornerback 2. Not really a CB1, but you got stuff to work with at least. Trayvon Moehrig's a solid safety. Marcus Epps is decent, I guess. Amik Robertson, Jack Jones are all right 2 and 3. I mean, you'd rather them be a 3 and 4, but it is what it is. This unit, like I said, you're not looking at anything that's just going to blow you out of the water, but it's just, yeah, it's fine. Then you go over to what they have this offseason. A lot of draft picks, however, there are a lot of late draft picks. They're picking, I believe, 13th overall. You have money. This is a big offseason. Antonio Pierce has a good situation, in my opinion, because he's seen this roster firsthand. He's gotten to watch the roster play out, and that was, through 9 games, but that's enough. That should be enough for you to know what needs to be changed, what position groups need to have more talent added in. You don't have a ton of free agents as well. Yes, Josh Jacobs, Andre James, those are 2 pretty solid starters that you've had. Josh Jacobs more than just solid, but the rest of them aren't super concerning. Nothing here is going to really, just break anything down. You've got things you got to fix one way or another, but that first set was wrong of the needs. This set is correct. Sorry about that. Either way, round 1, go get a quarterback. You got to figure out who that is. Whether it is another, once again, like the Broncos, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix. Whoever it is, whoever's available, go get them. Jaden Daniels does have some back history with Antonio Pierce. So, there are things you can work on here, and that could be a really good addition. I mean, Jaden Daniels, I wouldn't be too shocked if come draft time, he's not picked 3rd overall. Maybe people do fall on him a little bit and somebody moves up and he goes down. I don't know. Maybe they have to move up to get him. Maybe that's what it is. Either way, work it out. Then, after that, figure out the weapons in the draft. Because, like I said, Devontae Adams, honestly, you're probably better off without him. Trade him, get what you can out of him. Then, Jacoby Myers is not really much to work with. Let's just be real. Hunter Renfrow, not the best option at this point. Trey Tucker, he's young and mostly unproven. Josh Jacobs, he might be gone. You just don't know. You got to figure things out for the long run here. To me, that's what you do. Go get a quarterback. Settle your weapons and figure out the trenches. Because honestly, outside the trenches, yeah, the secondary could use some help, but you've got a decent start there. Figure those trenches out. So to me, look at Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, like I said. Jordan Morgan, Kamari Lassiter, Keon Coleman all in round 2 should be good. Jordan Morgan, the tackle, that would help on the other side of Colton Miller. Kamari Lassiter could be a good addition there. Keon Coleman as well. Kamari Lassiter could be viewed as a defensive weapon. That would be interesting. He's got a lot of upside. And then free agents. You have a lot of money. Go get some guys that might make your roster a bit more competent. Curtis Samuel, Odell Beckham, some cheaper veteran options that they're not going to break the bank. They might be around $8 to $10 million a year, but nothing more than that. Connor Williams, a good, solid center. As long as he's back from his injuries, he should be fine. And, replacing Andre James with probably a better player. Then Jonah Williams, also, the tackle from Cincinnati, that would also be another good spot to shore up your right tackle position one way or another. So, to me, Vegas, this is a short list of how to improve. Go get Jaden Daniels. You've got the connection already with the head coach. Get OBJ, a veteran target for him that is legitimate at least. Yeah, he's not the best receiver anymore, but he's not going to cost you a ton either. Then go get a Connor Williams. You need that, quality O-line play, and he can provide it as long as he's healthy. Going to our last team, the Chiefs. They won the Super Bowl. What went wrong for them? Not a whole lot, except for in the regular season, their weapons did suck. We've heard the story a million times. They clearly got over it. So, let's just get right into this. This one's not going to take long. Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, Steve Spagnuolo. Somehow, none of them are leaving. Well, Matt Nagy, no one's shocked he ain't leaving because he ain't ever getting another job better than this. Moving on from that, the roster. Mahomes, great. Pacheco, shown some concern recently. Like in the last playoff games, he kind of fumbled a few times. There's some things to be concerned about, but he's a late-round running back. It's just you're not super concerned about it in the positional value. Rashee Rice looks to be a really good receiver. However, he's a rookie. He didn't do all that much. He just had a really good rookie year. So, we got to get more in that room because past that, you're not really hanging your hat on anything here. There is nothing here that you're really excited about. Travis Kelce, yes, he is a very good tight end, one of the best of all time. He took a step down this year. And if you just think he didn't, you're wrong. He took a step down. He went from elite to very, very, very good. If he takes a step down from that next year to just very good, I wonder if that's enough to help the Chiefs. He was their safety blanket the whole year. Then you have those two tackles that they're solid players, but they're going to get you in a lot of trouble in a lot of situations because of they like to hold and they like to jump and there's just a lot of issues there, but they're not bad players. This line overall is very, very good. Going forward, the defense, this is a pretty good group here as well. They obviously is the reason why they won the Super Bowl this year. Karlaftis, solid player. McDuffie, two guys who are rookies from last year's draft who turned out really well this year and last year. Chris Jones, L'Jarius Sneed, they're both free agents. You got to figure that out. Drew Tranquill, got to shout him out because when Nick Bolton went out with an injury, I believe, or was it Willie Gay? One of the two went out with an injury for the whole season, and Drew Tranquill came in as a pure vet and just did the job he was supposed to do. Very well. Great job to him. You also have, Justin Reed, Brian Cook, Chamari Connor, Mike Edwards, a really solid safety group. The corners past the two starters are not the best, but you've got a lot to work with here. It's a good defensive unit, not to mention Spags is a very good defensive coordinator who's going to sum up any of their issues they have. So, what does this offseason look like for Kansas City? Lots of free agents. However, there's a few that are like key starters, but the rest are a lot of depth. They need wide receiver, they need edge, they need defensive lineman, tackle, safety. They have some money, but that money is going to be eaten up very, very quickly. They have the ability to restructure Mahomes and restructure other guys. They can figure out the money, the cap. I don't need to say it again. Yeah, you got it. Draft capital-wise, to me, what they got to do is this. Round 1, you need a legitimate wide receiver. Whoever you can get, whoever's there, Troy Franklin, Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman, go grab somebody with some talent because that group is lacking it. The middle rounds, edge, defensive line, that wouldn't hurt for sure. Karlaftis is really good on one side, but he's not great. Go get another guy. Maybe you'll show here in a minute who I've got. Like a Braylon Trice could be there in the second round. And then, free agent-wise, Chris Jones, L'Jarius Sneed. You're probably going to have to pick and choose one of them because somebody's going to pay the other one more. To me, keep Chris Jones, let L'Jarius Sneed walk. You can find a corner. That might mean you draft a corner round 2, and, it is what it is. But figure that out later. Running back-wise, you don't really need to bring back one of them or both of them. It's just one of them wouldn't be a bad idea. I bet they would probably lean towards Jerick McKinnon, and Willie Gay would not be a bad addition as well. So, what can they do to improve now? Really simple. Weapons. Figure out the weapons. Then the free agents. You've got the 2 guys I've listed down there. I'm not even adding in other guys they were going to bring in because you need to figure out one of these 2 to keep, or maybe both, but definitely one. And then your tackles, I mean, like I said, they're solid players, but they give you a lot of issues and make your team kind of messy. Things to figure out for sure. To me, go get Troy Franklin, Keon Coleman, Adonai Mitchell, whoever you need there, whatever it is. Braylon Trice, Chris Jenkins, Tez Walker, all in round 2, could be solid picks as well. And then get those guys back. Just get them in the building. So, Kansas City next year, you bring back Chris Jones. You get Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin, whoever. Just input picture there. And then Braylon Trice would be a really good running mate for George Karlaftis. I think that would be a great fit in Kansas City. So, what do you think of the AFC West? I have gone through all of the teams now. If you're an AFC West division fan, let me know what you think. Also, if you're not a fan of one of those 4 teams, let me know what you think as well, because having an outside opinion looking in is sometimes a better way to look at it because you don't have all those biases that other people do. Either way, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and that like button, and I'll see y'all in the next video.